Hello weirdos, welcome back to my channel. My name is EmmaAbe and we talk about books here. We have a special guest. The return of the baby. Oh, hello. She has been with me for the past 2 weeks, all to myself. So I've gotten all of the baby's cuddles. Is that right? Ooh. Are you cold? It is cold. It freaking snowed. It snowed, which is like not wild, but the fact that it's been like 40, 50 degrees like a lot recently in freaking December. Here's a picture. I took a picture of it tonight, literally a couple hours ago when it snowed. Oh, you're a big girl. You're cold. Here, I'll cuddle you. So that the year's almost over. So why are we talking? Why am I here? Why are you sitting here? Well, that's because November is over. Is that sad? It's sad because you miss your family, but you have me, you can cuddle with me. And I'm gonna talk about all the books that I read in November. And I had so many reading plans. I had about 8 books picked out that I was gonna read. LOL, no, I did not read those. I think I read about 6 of the books that I intended to read. No, not 6. 4. 4 of the books that I intended to read, because I only read 6 books this month. I'm not hitting my 10 books a month goal, but I keep telling myself that it is okay. It's, an arbitrary goal. I've already hit 120 books for like the entire year, so I've hit my like 10 books per year thing. Any books that I kind of read from here on out is bonus. And especially since I'm in my last year in college, I'm like, you know what? My priority has to go to my schoolwork, and that's just kind of reality. And November is insane because it's the wrapping up of the semester, and then the first week of December is finals. Luckily for me, I'm recording this on December 7th. All of my finals are done. Yay! I only had one final. And then I had an essay, but I finished my essay. So, okay, I'm sure you're done hearing about all my school bullshit. So let's talk about the books that I read, and we're gonna go in the order which I read them, which is how I always do my wrap-ups. This is not a new ballgame. So the first book I finished is this one. This is Mushroom at the End of the World. This is by Sing. What the frick is her first name? I should know, but we only refer to her in class as Sing. Anna Sing. So this book, I'm gonna put this down and put up like a graphic. This is a very dense book. Like you could hit someone and hurt someone. Like don't throw this at the baby, because the baby will cry. This is a book that I had to read for my contemporary anthropology theory class, and I quite enjoyed it. I really loved it. It's all about like multi-species and how we can incorporate precarity and all this other stuff into our work, into our anthropological work. I quite enjoyed it, and it talks about like all of these big different topics, and like precarity and capitalism, and the different forms of capitalism through this mushroom that is widely viewed as a delicacy in Japan. That's because that's where Sing's field work is. It's in these mushrooms. I quite enjoyed it. The class quite enjoyed it. We had lots of really cool, interesting discussions about it. We had to read the whole freaking book. It goes by fast though. It goes by really, really fast, and it's just really, really interesting stuff that I think you could read as just a normal nonfiction book, not as like just a solely anthropological piece. But if you are reading it as an anthropological piece and like dissecting it for its like multi-species and multi-modality stuff, I think you'll get like a lot out of it. You'll still get stuff out of it when it's not read in that way. So I really enjoyed it. Would recommend it as kind of like a nonfiction book, and would be one of those theory books that I would tell you to like pick up if you're interested in learning about more anthropology theory stuff. Next book I read is The Only Good Indians. This is by Stephen Graham Jones. I really enjoyed this as well. I didn't know much going into it other than like a bunch of hunters, Native American hunters go in and they get like killed. That's all I knew. She's being so restless. She's just like, you interrupted my sleeping time. Please let me go back to sleep, because I'm filming this at midnight, because of course I am. But yeah, so you're following these 3 separate stories of these 3 men who wound up like freaking massacring like all of these elk. Like they just did a number on this herd of elk. They weren't supposed to be there, and it was a whole thing. And you basically see the revenge and what has happened to these men post this like massacre of elk. I think you could read it like a couple of different ways. Personally, how I read it was this elk woman thing that they were all seeing is a manifestation of their guilt of what they did. And so you could take it as more literal reading, or you could take it as like there is a literal elk woman who is murdering all of these people. I felt it ended very abruptly. Like, I felt like I wanted to read more, hear more about this, have the ending like a little bit expanded more. But I really enjoyed this as like a horror book and a little bit more like, I don't know if avant-garde is the correct word, but that's how I felt about this. This is one of the books that I intended to read for the Indigathon, and I read this with my eyeballs and following along. So I used an audiobook to help me through it. What do you want to say? What do you want to say about it? What do you want to say? Let me go to sleep? She's like an old woman. It's hilarious. Yeah, but I thought this was very, very good, and I'm excited to read more of his work because I have more of it on. Oh, I remember what I wanted to say. I wanted to say the actual like horror aspects of this. There's lots of just like body horror and like gore, and yeah, I liked it. Really, really liked it. The next book that I read is a nonfiction choice, and that is 1491, New Revelations of the Americas Before Columbus by Charles C. Mann. Holy crap, did I like so appreciate this book so much. This book takes like a overarching look at the cultures that existed before Columbus. He acknowledges that some of the problems to that is that we just lost so much knowledge because of the destruction of the societies and the massacring and like the Holocaust of Native Americans. You can have a debate on whether that Holocaust was intentional or not. My vote is it's kind of a mix of both. There definitely was intentional Holocausts that were happening, but I think the initial contacts were not necessarily meant to spread the disease the way they did. And I just think the acknowledgement of just the scale and the level of societies that were happening and the level of just cultural complexities was really, really well in this book. It worked really, really well. And yeah, I literally mentioned in my contemporary anthropology class that I was reading this, and one of my classmates works a lot with like repatriation, especially with Native American bones and stuff. He was like, oh my god, that book is so good. And I was like, I know, I'm loving it. And yes, I love this. This is really, really good. I am so glad I purchased this. Do you want a snack? Do you want a snack? I'll give you a snack. I'll give you a treat. Okay, go eat it. Go eat it. So yeah, I really, really love this. This book is probably going to be like on my favorite books of the year. What can I say? Super good. Okay, next is this book, God Secretaries, Making of the King James Bible. This is by Adam Nicholson. This book was not what I wanted it to be. I wanted this to kind of like dissect a lot of like the politicking and stuff that like happened to it and like the clear biases that were happening. And it's not that it didn't talk about it, it just didn't talk about it as explicitly and like to the level of detail that I wanted. It does a really good job at setting the stage for the political environment, the religious environment that led to the creation of the making of the King James Bible. Am I gonna lie and say that I got excited when Guy Fawkes is involved and the whole gunpowder plot was talked about in this? I'm not gonna lie. I got really excited, was super into that chapter, but I just thought a lot of it like wasn't talking about the actual making of the King James Bible. It spent a lot of time just talking about the people involved, and this isn't exactly what I wanted it to be. Not that I don't think it isn't good. Not the book that I wanted it to be, unfortunately, but we can't win everything. I don't know if I'm gonna donate this or not, and that's kind of where I'm sitting. So there you go. That's that one. Next book is this one. This is Designs for an Anthropology of the Contemporary by Paul Rabinow, George Marcus, and with James Fabian and Tobias Reese. Okay, so if you watch my video about the textbooks that I had to buy, which this is a textbook that I had to buy, I had to read the whole thing. I normally don't talk about textbooks on this channel, but since I read this cover to cover, I'm gonna talk about it. I mentioned in that video that it felt like a bunch of old men like freaking bickering, which I think holds true. However, when you get to the last third, God damn it, this book pays off. And we talked about it in my contemporary anthropology class, because we were saying how the last like third of this book really just kind of encapsulates everything that we were learning really, really well, and plopped it into like really interesting ideas about how anthropology could be taught differently. They have this whole idea of like this anthropology design studio, which I don't think is terrible. And this is why this book was kind of like kept on the syllabus, because of that reason, because of that last third, because god damn, that last third was really, really good in terms of the class. Would I recommend this book to the average person? Absolutely not. No. This is so entrenched in like anthropology theory and just talking about anthropology and lots of talking around each other. And if you're not in like the anthropology world, if you're not studying this, if you're not an anthropologist itself, you will just get bogged down. You'll be like, the fuck are you talking about? Why are we having all these discussions about writing culture? And but I think that last third, it really did save it, because otherwise it would have been grumpy men complaining about anthropology. So the very last book that I read this month is Black Sun. This is by Rebecca Roanhouse, and I was reading this on the plane to go to Boston, which was where we were going to celebrate Thanksgiving, and I got like 11 pages in. However, I was doing my automata homework, and automata just requires so much like thinking, how am I going to build these touring machines and all of this stuff, and I basically had to restart this book, and I'm so glad that I did that, because if I had just gone from chapter 11, I think I would have missed a lot of the essential like information. I need more of this book. I need the second book to come out now, because I feel like there's so many unanswered questions, and I'm not going to spoil anything about the ending, but I thought it was really intense. I really loved that it was taking a lot of its cues from pre-Columbian societies. I can't remember if this is like geared for a younger audience, because it almost felt that way. It was almost like simplified. Not simplified is the incorrect word, but it was like less complex fantasy. Like I'm thinking about some of the books that I'm reading right now, and just the level and the scale of like the epic fantasy of this, and this feels like a light version of that. Not that this is unacceptable as fantasy, it is, and you know, sometimes you really need like a Black Sun, because I don't want to keep track of 20 fucking different characters. Sometimes I just need our 3 main like people that we're following, and those 3 people I think were great. I think my favorite character was Shala. I really, really liked her. I loved her bisexual energy. I loved this. I loved her horniness, but I just love that she was a strong woman in a predominantly like man's field, and how she was dealing with being an outsider. And yeah, I just really, really loved her character. Bonkers things happen in this, and yeah, I really, really liked it, and I can't wait to get the next book. I really hope we see more of Shala, because I really, really liked her. I think she was my favorite out of all the characters in this. I don't know what that says about me, so there you go. Whoa, I got you. Are you gonna say goodbye? Here, have this piece. Isn't it so good? Okay. Well, it'll be squirmy. All right. Well, we are going to say goodbye. I can't believe that the year is almost over. It's wild. Baby, do you want to say goodbye? Do you want to say goodbye? No. We're gonna go to bed soon. All right. Well, let me know, what did you read in the month of November? Was something good? What do you think of the books that I read, in my opinions? Baby's gonna say goodbye, and we're gonna go to sleep because it's late. Do you want another treat? Well, you can get one. Okay. All right. Bye. Bye. Are you gonna say goodbye? Are you gonna say goodbye? She's like, no, I just want to cuddle. Because that's all she wants to do. She just wants to cuddle. Bye.